Well, we'll go ahead and get started here. If some other people join us, that's perfectly fine. But to be respectful of your time, I know everybody's busy and has a lot of things going on, and hopefully spring has sprung everywhere, and customers are coming in and products going out the door. But my name is Ryan Miller, as you probably saw on the screen there. I'm part of our team here at Allan Block, and certainly on behalf of everyone here at Allan Block, I want to thank you for joining us. This is our first Dealer ABU Online event, so we're just getting going with this, but I hope you can join us in the future, and maybe there's some others within your organization that can join us as well. We're going to be having and hosting these the second Wednesday of every month moving forward. Topics will vary from estimating retaining walls, as we're talking about today, into different components like courtyard patio packages and our soon-to-be-released 3D modeling tool, which will take estimates and designs from some of the tools, one of which we'll see today, and create a 3D rendering very quickly and economically, meaning free for you. So a variety of topics will be covered through these ABU Online events. Today, what we're going to be focusing on, obviously, is estimating retaining walls. We're going to try to keep them consistent. Again, we're the second Wednesday of every month at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time and at 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. You'll see the communications in our quarterly dealer newsletter. You can register in one click, similar to what you did for this event today, through that dealer newsletter, so keep your eye out for that. And then also within a week, basically the week leading into one of our events, of which one a month will be happening, you'll also, or should also, receive an email from us with registration links for the upcoming event. So again, we're not going to try to bombard you with these, but we want to make sure you have easy access to registering for these events for yourself and for others within your organization. That email that you get, as simple as forwarding that over to anybody else that you'd want to participate. They can then click on that registration and register for these events too. So with that, not much of a PowerPoint here today. I just wanted everybody to see kind of what we're talking about. You know, what are objectives. We're going to take a look at some sets of plans. You know, what you might see from customers. We're going to take a look at how we can estimate these. You can do it by hand, somewhat labor intensive and time consuming. And we're going to look at tools primarily today. Our focus is looking at the tools that we've developed, our team has developed through the years to help you estimate those projects. I'll show you where you can find them, and then we're going to review each of those tools. And then we do have some action items and certainly questions. There'll be time at the end, but if you have questions, there's the chat feature within Click Meeting, but everybody should be able to talk either through your microphone on the computer, or if you called in through the phone number, you can take yourself off mute however you're listening and certainly throw a question out there, and we'll try to answer that as best we can. So what may you see? Some of you, our assumption here is that some of you are maybe new into retaining walls and estimating of walls, but some of you might be a little bit more tenured and experienced with regard to retaining wall estimating. So if you've seen some sets of plans that look somewhat like these that we're going to look at, my apologies for the redundancy, but we want to make sure we're introducing what you may see from a variety of different customers that come in to your stores. This is a very common type of plan, one you may not see all that often in your stores, but this is what we call a grading plan from a civil engineering set of plans. Looks very complicated, looks very comprehensive. If you ever get one of these, we're more than happy to spend some time and walk you through what's going on. There's a lot of information here. We can see a wall very quickly. We can see contours and elevations and grades that are on here that indicate what this wall will look like once it's designed and built. We could get more simplistic architectural plans. These walls would be called out, but we created a picture and blew it up to where we can see a terraced application here with two walls. There are some elevations shown here. But more often than not, I'm sorry? Oh, sorry, I thought somebody said something. More often than not, what we're probably going to get in most of our stores out there, most distribution stores out there, are more of what we call napkin sketches or hand drawings of what's needed. Maybe similar to this. And I want to reference back to this drawing periodically throughout the course of our session today, but this is probably a little bit more in line with what we might see, where we actually see a drawing of where the house is and where the wall would be going, so that it tells somebody who's trying to assist them, either a contractor or you as a point of sale, what they're trying to accomplish, and now they're asking for some help. How can I estimate this? How can I figure out how many block I need? How do I know how much grid I need if I need it? Things of that nature. So again, you could estimate this by hand. You could get the linear footage that's shown here. You could calculate the heights of the wall and start calculating all this out by hand. We do have some calculations in our commercial install manual that will walk you through how to do that by hand. But in all reality, in our technological savvy world today, we've got some electronic tools that we feel are probably a little bit easier to work with and to work on. So how do you access those? If you haven't ever seen our tools, very easy to access. You can simply go to allanblock.com, click the home page, make sure you're there. Obviously, I'm already there. And up at the top, you're going to constantly see scrolling icons that you could click on, estimating tools and apps. You could click that. It would take you right to our estimating tool page. You could type in estimating in the Google search, and you would immediately be provided several different links. You can also scroll around and look through our site. Everything we try to do within 2 clicks, so if I scroll on down, my eye gets drawn to it right away, but under contractor resources, estimating tools and apps, I can click that link, and it's going to take me immediately, and everything works a little slow when we're running an online webinar like this, but it's going to take me to a page that will introduce me as the user, as the person going to this page, to the various apps and estimating tools that we have. We will be looking at the retaining wall app here today. Next month, we're going to be looking at courtyard estimating by means of our estimating tool and an app. You can see and watch videos on how you would use this, what's the reason for using this app. You can download from here for a Mac or Windows computer. You can also, they are apps, so you can download them onto Windows or Apple mobile devices through the App Store. You can download those. But again, there's information right on our website here where you can go. As I scroll on down, the first tool we're going to look at today is our A/B estimating tool. It's one of our oldest tools, very, very widely used. Each year there's thousands of these downloaded and used by contractors, by distribution partners, even by homeowners. How do you download it? Again, allanblock.com, right to our estimating page, variety of ways you can get to it. And then you just simply download for a Windows or Mac computer. Click the Windows, it's going to show you what you're going to get. And then you can download it with standard or metric units pending where you are in the world and what measuring system you actually use. By simply clicking this, you would actually be prompted to download and extract a file that's going to eventually look something like this. I'll keep that small. This is our A/B estimating tool. And again, if you ever have problems downloading any of these tools, don't hesitate to shout to us. Call your production partner, your sales partner, and ask them. Give us a call. We'll be more than happy to walk through how to download these as you make your way into them. So the A/B estimating tool, again, one of the older tools that we have out there, but very, very widely used. Most markets I travel into, people reference using the A/B estimating tool to help them estimate projects. Why? Because it not only gives you block quantities, but it's going to give you all the adjacent estimates as well. Rock, grid, glue, infill, things of that nature that a customer may be requesting or may want. You can use it for your own purposes, but the intent with this product was actually to help educate contractors. So you get a lot of contractors rolling in and out of your yards. It's an avenue to help educate them on a tool that's available and at their disposal to use to estimate projects. Not only is it to estimate projects, so by clicking accept, I'm going to be pulled into an area that I have to pick what product I'm going to estimate. So not only can I estimate an individual retaining wall, but they can actually start using this to track their hours and their costs associated outside of just product with that job. What do I mean by that? Well, today we're focusing on retaining walls. So on all of these, project information can be included. Let me put practice up here actually. Up at the top, whatever helps somebody reference this project in the future, Johnson Residence, retail development, or McDonald's, whatever it might be, to reference this project in the future. By simply clicking retaining wall, I'm going to be pulled into a different screen that's asking me what type of retaining wall, what Allan Block product do I want to estimate with. So obviously, many of you are probably going to have displays. Many of you have literature. Many of you have been asking questions of your customer maybe to this point on and leading them to the path of what product they want to choose. Well, I can make that selection right here, and I need to make that selection right here before I can estimate. But what I was referencing back to a contractor, this tool was developed for them, but certainly our production partners and our distribution partners out there use it. So by clicking Update Block and Price Information, I'm going to be able to put in here pricing for all my various components, caps, block, and I'm just going to make up some numbers here just to give you some reference points. My corner, maybe it's 15 bucks, whatever it might be. I can put in my cost. You can actually save this as well. So as a distribution partner, you could put in your contractor costs. You can actually save another file for a retail cost. So that you have this file saved with your default pricing so that when somebody walks in, you can estimate a project with pricing included very quickly. But if I'm a contractor, I could start, in addition to all the Allan Block products, you can put in grid prices. You could put in your base rock, your wall rock, your infill material, cap prices. As a contractor, again, they could put in their base crew costs. Per hour, how much is my base crew costing me? How about my wall crew? How about engineering? Do I need engineering on this job? I could put in the cost per square foot of that. Well, I need to have a productivity to calculate how much my base cost is going to cost me. So how many linear feet per hour does my base crew install? How many square feet per hour of wall am I going to install? Again, these are contractor questions, so it's a way for them to start gauging what their true costs are. I estimated 10 feet per hour. There's 30 linear feet on that project. Did I actually calculate that correctly? So it's a way for them to gauge how they're moving through the system. I could put in overhead. You could put in profit. Save all of this, again, as a contractor or as a dealer. For simplistic purposes, I'm just going to stick with our AB Classic today. I click Classic, it highlights it. Now I'm ready to estimate a project. By clicking Continue, I'm going to be pulled into where I estimate the project. So right away, top left, it's going to ask me what's going on above that wall. Is it level above? Great questions to ask to the customer that you're talking to. Is there a surcharge above? Maybe a driveway. Is there a slope above? Maybe it's a 3-to-1 slope. Yes, there's a driveway above this or a pool above this. What type of soil are you working in? Is it sand or is it clay? I don't know. Well, if you don't know, I would suggest always being on the conservative side and using clay. Great questions to ask, things that are going to help position you as one of the go-to people in the industry, because now you're positioning yourself as a trusted advisor with that customer. You're asking questions that many others maybe aren't asking and most likely aren't asking. So how do I estimate this wall? I've made some selections. Is there a load above it? Is it a level? What type of soil? Do I want it with caps? Yes or no? Most often it's going to be yes. Do I want my wall rock in volume or weight? When we're estimating walls, I'm going to stick to our landscape retaining wall. It's our most basic but quite comprehensive estimating tool. So if I look at that example, and I'm just going to split this up here so that you guys can see, hopefully, what I'm talking about. And let me make this a little bigger here. I had this just in case it was easier to see this way. So if we look at that napkin sketch that we talked about earlier, I've got a 30-foot long wall that's 14 inches in height at the beginning, and at the end of 30 feet is 28 inches high. It then, over the next 40 feet, goes up to 48 inches high. I hope everybody can see that okay. And then over the last 60 linear feet, it's a consistent 48 inches high. So how do I estimate that? Well, with our estimating tool, there's a very simple way to do that. There are more comprehensive ways to do it, but I'm going to stick to the most basic way we can estimate that wall here today. And that is breaking this one wall up into 3 different walls. What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at the first 30 linear feet. What is the average height of that first 30 linear feet? Roughly 21 inches. It's 14 inches at the beginning. It's 28 inches at the top. So wall number 1 is 30 linear feet. I'm going to type in the linear footage there. I don't put in the height. I'm actually putting in the number of courses tall. So if it's 21 inches and I'm using my AB Classic, I know that it's roughly 8 inches high, not exactly, but close. So I'm going to need a 3-course high wall. That's going to take me to just under a 2-foot high wall. I'm averaging 21 inches for that 30 linear feet. I've calculated that first wall. Calculate. As soon as I calculate that, and I apologize, I'm going to go back and forth here a bit so that you can see what I'm doing easier. Immediately it's telling me wall number 1. It's telling me it's about 2 feet high. It's 3 courses. It's 30 linear feet. Here's the square footage. I put a surcharge above it. I had clay. I'm using the AB Classic. And I've got GeoGrid above the first course of block. Well, as I look on down, now it's telling me the number of classics I need, the cap that I need, 1 roll of grid, and I need how much base rock, wall rock, all the adjacent materials are listed here. Now from the labor side, 30 linear feet, productivity, 10 feet per hour. Again, I put that in as a contractor on the front end, and it's giving me my cost now for everything to actually install that wall, almost $34 per square foot.
Whoa.
So that was one part of this, and I think I got a whoa there from somebody, which was good. So now how do I estimate the rest of this? Well, very quickly I can add a second wall. So now I'm on to wall 2. And wall 2, I've got to make my same selections. Is it a surcharge? Is it sand or clay? Is it a slope? I make my same selections with caps. But now I've got 40 linear feet, so I can type in 40 linear feet. What's my average height here? 28 to 48? Well, I'm going to say my average height is 38 inches, roughly 3 feet or a little over 3 feet, or I could say 5 courses, which is just a little over 3 feet, roughly 40 inches tall, over 40 linear feet. I can hit calculate, and I'm going to get the exact same thing for wall 2 as I got for wall 1, just like that. I can add wall 3. What is wall 3? Well, it's really the same wall, but now I'm looking at the last 60 linear feet. The last 60 linear feet are all a consistent 48 inches, or roughly 6 courses high. So now I'm going to say it's 60 linear feet, and it's roughly 6 courses high, or almost 4 feet tall. Again, we're almost 8 inches in height. I simply hit calculate, and now I've got 3 individual walls that I can look at individually, and I could print from here. I can print each of these and hand those to the customer, or I can go total, and now it's giving me all 3 walls with the total quantity needed for all 3. So I've summarized them all so that the contractor, homeowner, whoever it is, has a lump sum of what they actually need. And again, if I'm a contractor, now I can see each individual wall, so I can price it that way, or I can see as a group what I need to charge that customer for this specific project. So a very efficient, very quick way, and I know I'm going over this quite quickly, but again, we're more than happy to field individual phone calls if you want to dive into this in a little bit more detail. So the one thing that I didn't talk about is, as you see right here, we make the assumption that the courses that we tell the software to estimate with include 1 buried block. So on that plan that we looked at, it stated the last 60 feet were 48 inches. One of my final questions to that customer before I ask them if they're ready to place the order is, does that include buried block? If it does, then I run with it at that height. If it doesn't, I need to add an additional course to that wall to compensate for the burial. And I would just simply hit calculate, and now I've got that revised wall 3, and I could do that for every wall. So that's the AB retaining wall, the AB estimating tool, component of what we're going to be addressing today. Again, if you have questions, comments on this, feel free to call us directly. It doesn't look like anybody's typed any in yet. I haven't heard, other than the wow, anything from the crowd, so I'm going to guess that maybe that's hitting home. Maybe some of you have used that in the past. But again, if you have questions, comments, shout them out, or feel free to call us. Any of us in our sales support or our engineering side will be happy to walk you through that AB estimating tool. When we're finished today, as soon as this meeting ends, you will be directed right to our website, that estimating tool page that I showed you earlier, where you can actually download any of these tools. So you will be directed right to it, where you can immediately download them. But again, if you don't want to do it right then and want to get to it later, allanblock.com, you can find the estimating tool page right there. This is our retaining wall app. This is a tool that, in my opinion, can be used in a store. It can be used out on a job, maybe by a contractor. Again, educate your contractors on these tools. Get them to use these tools. But it can be used in a store, out on a job site. If you're out on a job site, you can open it up in a tablet, and you could actually walk the exact project with a customer. The contractor could walk it with a homeowner and actually lay that wall out, and they could get immediate visuals, they being the customer, of what that wall would look like immediately. There's a lot of things within this. There's different photo galleries that you could use. Again, a contractor could use. If I click this button right here, it's going to take me to the website. For sake of time, I'm not going to, but you could click this and it would take you right to our website, and it's going to show you 8, 10, 12 different photos of entryways. If you wanted to see sunken patios, you could actually get quick photos of sunken patios. Why? Just to get points of reference. There's a help area on here so that it'll walk you through all the different areas of just trying to open up a video on me there. It's gonna walk you through the different, or the ways to actually use this app. You will see that in each screen earlier too. If you want to see how to build, well, we can give you links right to our installation information on our website as well. Create your own wall. So what you're here to see, how do I estimate? Again, I can see this tool being used in the backyard of somebody's house. I know from a phone call I received last spring that it was used in Champaign, Illinois with an owner of an apartment complex, of which they had 7 apartments, of which a timber wall was failing on each one of them. They actually used this tool, our sales partner down there used this tool to walk the wall in the project with the owner of that project and outline and lay out each phase of those walls so that the owner could see what he or she would be getting at the conclusion of the job. What do I mean by that? Well, here we're actually going to lay out a wall. Let's envision that this is our home. This top black line is our home. And we're going to lay out a wall in our backyard. Well, this is just a graph paper. It's all in 3-foot increments. Why? Because that's a natural step for most of us. We take a step and it's roughly 3 feet. So if we're in the backyard of a house and we're walking with an owner, or a contractor's with an owner, or you're with a contractor, you're walking the job, you can be plotting points right along with the time on that job and the walk and the conversation on that job. So if this is my house and I realize that I need to start a wall about 12 feet off of my house, I can come down to 12 feet. And if this is the corner of my house, maybe it's 3 feet off the edge of that house. If you can't remember how to do this or how to start, there's videos on here that you could click, and it's going to take us to our website, and I'm going to avoid that just because it's going to take some more time, but there's videos here that will show you how to stake out and how to walk a project so that you can then lay it out on this graph paper, which is really what it is. So there's my first point. If I know that I walked 18 more feet and it was a straight wall, I go out to 21 because I started at 3, and I make a point. Now my wall is starting to get drawn for me. If I know that my next point is actually 36 feet down to my home or my building, whatever it is, but it's actually 24 feet away, hence this number here, I make another point. If I don't like that point, again, videos and the help screen is here to help you identify how to use all of these. This minus here is going to get rid of that last point. Trash can is going to scrap it all. But there's a variety of things and ways to estimate this project. All I've done right here is create a bird's eye view. So if I was a bird looking down on my wall, this is what it would look like. My house is back here. I want to create a little bit more flat land in my backyard so my kids can play. Now I'm going to build a wall right here so that I can have that flat land up above. That green arrow always moves me from screen to screen. So this is a little bit different than the last tool we looked at, but I'm going to try to keep it fairly simple here. Now we're looking at it in what we call an elevation view. So walking up to that wall and looking at it from the front. Point 1, I can manipulate the elevation. So again, if I'm talking about that job in Champaign, he's measuring, or she, whoever it might be, is measuring the existing wall that has to come out and taking the measurements. And they realize that the wall needed to be approximately 2 feet high. They can move on down to the last point, and maybe it needs to get a little bit taller there. So we made it a little bit taller. But it's always opening up in 4 courses, roughly 2.6 feet. And then we can change the elevations as we move through. Again, help button here, question mark button there, to help me move through this screen. The green arrow, similar to the A/B estimating tool, now we've got to tell it what's going on above that wall. Is there a flat? Is there a load? Is there a slope? I'm just going to keep it level above. Same as the estimating tool, I tell it what type of soil. Let's just keep it a clay. Now it's automatically creating a radius. We automatically do that because of 3 things. One, it's faster to build in the field. It's more aesthetically pleasing because you don't have a mitered joint up the entire height of that wall. But most importantly, it's stronger. A radius is always stronger, so we're going to default this to create a radius for those 3 reasons. Now we see a quick estimate of material. That green arrow is taking me to my last page. I could put in my email address, or what happened in Champaign was they put the email address in of the owner of the apartment complex, the postal code where the project was, and hit free design packet. Immediately it sends it to our design center that's hosted or housed on our server at Allan Block here, and it creates a package that would look similar to this. Now this isn't what I just did, but this is what one would get, or very similar to this. A snapshot of what the project is, a plan view of what was drawn, an elevation view of what was drawn, and then cross sections. 3 generic but relative cross sections to the elevation view, and a reference point on here as to which cross section fits into what elevation. In addition, we give you material estimates for the various products that we have. So how much grid, how many blocks, all that good stuff is included in this Design Center printout that will be emailed directly to whoever whose address is put in for the email. So, so that's the app. In the very near future, what you're also going, and as recently as yesterday, we got approval from SketchUp, which is a free 3D modeling tool, that our retaining wall estimating 3D modeling tool was approved. So that Allan Block 3D modeling tool that we'll be talking about in a couple months on our Dealer ABU Online has been approved for our retaining wall, so that in that printout, in that email that you get, you'll get an extension file as well that you could go open up in SketchUp, both of which are free, our extension and SketchUp, and take a 2D drawing that you just saw and now open it up in SketchUp so that you also have a 3D rendering of this application. That's yet to be launched. Again, in I think in August, we're actually going to have an online event about that. But it'll all be it'll all be working well before that. Again, as recently as yesterday, we got approval from SketchUp for the retaining wall side, but it's not live in our tool yet, so I can't actually show it. But with that, I'm pretty much done. Okay, Jeremy just said that the 3D modeling tool is actually live, so the app actually is creating that extension file as we speak. So download it as soon as I end today. If there aren't any questions, I don't see any typed in here. If there are any questions, as soon as I hit in on this session, you will be directed to our website where you can download these tools and start using them with your customers, start educating your customers right away. So again, thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for their time and your time. But if you have any questions, comments, I'll stay on the line here for a while, but feel free to call us as well. All right, perfect. Well, I'll go ahead and end here. Everybody have a good rest of your day, and we'll look forward to talking to you and seeing you again on future events. Thanks.
Thank you.